episode 25 of the Try Time Podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Callum.
And today we're going to be discussing round 1 of the Super League, Challenge Cup updates, see who's topping the Fantasy League, and also look ahead to next week's fixtures. Again, all on one ground, St Helens the venue this week. So, without further ado, let's crack into what's already happened.
Right, yeah, so we will start off with Super League. Round 1, everyone sort of, all on social media has been buzzing it's been back. I think it's been a really good weekend of fixtures. So we'll start off with St Helens against Salford. Everyone really tipped St Helens for this, and they did pull through with a 29 points to 6 win over Salford. Thoughts?
Yeah, not really any surprises here, was there? It was kind of a routine victory for Saints almost.
Yeah.
I mean, credit to Salford, they didn't look bad actually. I don't want to do any disrespect to them. They did play some solid rugby, and I don't really think you noticed a change of coach.
Yeah, I think you're not looking at the game and thinking, oh well, Richard Marshall's in, is it out of his depth sort of thing. I don't think I looked at that game and thought, they did necessarily anything bad Salford, but you're playing best team in the league, and they kind of showed it. I think they didn't even really get out of second gear. I don't think Saints really. I think with a couple of players missing, like Koo, who should be back for next week as well. They definitely can be better than this as well, Saints, which is quite a scary thought for the rest of Super League, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a scary thought for if you draw them in Challenge Cup as well, but yeah, I think for Salford it's more of the same. This is a very solid workman-like team that's going to quite easily pick off some of the lower sides in the league this year.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be there. They're going to be there or thereabouts. I don't think they'll get in trouble or be in trouble unless they get a few injuries based off of this. But then,
yeah, I think that's fair.
We move on to potentially nearly a shock. The big Wigan derby, Lee versus Wigan.
Oh, I was so. I mean, yeah, I was gutted when Hardy kicked that in conversion. I really was. Lee, almost a dream start to their return to Super League.
Yeah. And
I don't really know what to make of this, because this is an understrength Wigan side. Field got injured early on. Hastings obviously wasn't back. French has only just got back in the UK and is due to miss round 2 as well. So if you have got him in your fantasy team, if you've got some noon on Thursdays, you get him out and quickly.
Yeah, true. It's one of them.
Wigan should get better, but
yeah,
they'll be disappointed with how they played. But they've still got the 2 points. So really, is there much to cry over? Probably not.
Yeah, I think when I watch, again, I get what you mean, how gutting it is, because I know a lot of people will look at this and they'll probably think, Lee actually could, they're not favourites to go down potentially, like they could really push it, but then
I'd still agree with that. I think they'll be right in contention.
But the thing is, this result going against them, and the fact that they threw it away or whatever, Wigan got back into it, showed their class and that sort of thing in second half. I do think because Lee are not going to play like this every week, and they're not going to get in a position where they could win like this. And I think the fact that they haven't won the game that possibly was there for them to win is probably could be the story of their season, if you know what I mean. Whereas I think, even looking back to that London team who eventually did get relegated, but it was close, I feel like if they were in a situation like this, they actually did manage to see the game out. But I think Lee also shown that they've got a bit of quality about them as well, and they've got some real workhorses in that pack. Play like Ben Helliwell.
This was Wigan.
Really well. Yeah. Oh, and that
this
Wigan
isn't
pack
throwing a game away against, I don't know, a team in the mid-table. Let's say again, Salford. Because again, no disrespect to them, you expect that class difference between Wigan, who are established top 4, and Salford, who are that kind of mid-pack. They're not, without a bit of luck, they're not going to get top 4. But equally, things would have to go horribly wrong for them to be in trouble. So I don't think they will have ever really expected a result from this one. But
yeah, but again, it's one of
disappointing
them where
nevertheless.
They'll kick themselves that they haven't taken advantage, but also I think it means we're gonna see Lee show up in some of these games. They're not gonna. I think they'll be in a lot of games because of based off this showing as well. And like you say, Wigan's, you know, possibly one of the hardest fixtures of the season. You know, I know not everyone's fit, but the fact that they've, you know, they're probably looking at the league table. It's almost a given that you're gonna lose that. Like, whereas I think if they were playing one of the lesser teams, they probably would have won that game, to be honest, because a bit of class came through in the end for Wigan, really, and their depth as well showed. You know, like a player like Harry Smith, for example, went on with man at match, and like the fact that he really isn't first choice at Wigan, but he almost feels like he's a bit of a not a veteran, but you know what I mean. He's played a decent few games in Super League, and he's got that experience and a bit of class there.
That's Wigan all over, though. Strength and depth. But enough about the Pieters, because otherwise this is literally going to turn into Wigan's 18th man podcast at this rate.
Yeah.
Who's next?
So your team, obviously it was an away game, but there was at home. Beat Wakefield.
Yeah, but we couldn't even use our own dressing room, which is weird. But whatever, we'll go with it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one.
I'll tell you what, before we get into this, there's one moment that defined this game for me, and it's Sky commentary, and it's blunder of the week, I think.
Yeah, go on.
Luke Briscoe going for the opening try. I still remember Mr. Sky commented, I'm sure it was that point, and it's Luke Burgess down the wing. What? Have we gone back 10 years and shoved a second rower there? Luke Burgess?
Yeah, that's taking it back a few years, isn't it?
I mean, that's taking piss a bit. We've got a Briscoe on both wings. It's not that hard to remember.
Yeah, if you'd have got the Briscoes mixed up, you kind of would have got it a bit more, but...
Oh, yeah. I mean, we had all sorts. We had Alec, I can't remember what he called Alex Sutcliffe. He called him something else as well. But, yeah, shout out to the Sky commentary team for that one. And shout out to Tom Johnston for some cracking long-range tries. I mean, granted, one of them was... I don't think Luke Gale could have given him a better play to go score that one on, but
yeah, true.
Still, I mean, here's a question for you. Actually, one we're going to cover in a bit more detail on Saturday, so make sure to check this out. Best finisher in Super League. Get your predictions in early over who we're going to go for, but spoiler, Johnson's going to be right up there in the conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Let us know, sort of Facebook, Twitter, in the comments of this podcast, wherever you kind of follow us.
Check out our Twitter. We've been a lot more active on there recently, and we're going to keep that up with different polls and stuff. So if you haven't already, do give us a follow at Try Time Podcast. I'm sure Callum will put a link in the description and maybe even a fancy graphic on the screen if you're lucky.
Yeah, links always in the description for Twitter. It's sort of a thing that we don't push enough, really, because we are wanting to get back into it, and sort of when we're watching games, we want to tweet in about them and kind of being part of that Twitter Rugby League community. So.
And speaking of plugs, we'll just give you another 5 seconds to turn your red subscribe button grey and click your notification bell so you don't miss our video on Saturday.
Look at that. That is
good.
We are
time to do that. There we go. We've doubled in sub count just because we've given him a few seconds. Anyway, back to the rugby because that's what you're here for.
Yeah. So, obviously you're a Leeds fan. You know your team better than most. What are you thinking as a Leeds fan? Going home 28-22 against Wakey. Bit of a scare at times, but got job done.
I have 3 main thoughts actually. Number 1, teams that want to challenge for the top have games like this, and it's the ability to grind them out.
Yeah.
So I'm pleased to come away with the 2 points. Thought 2 is, oh my word, our young backline has just stood up to a big test. I mean, shout out to Jack Broadbent, my personal man of the match from this game.
Yeah, he did.
You don't get much tougher than debuting against Bill Tupou, a man who's probably 1.5 times Jack's size.
Yeah.
And he had the measure of him pretty much most, if not all, the game. Because everything that came from that side really was Johnson's solo brilliance.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's crazy to me to like look at Leeds' his depth in terms of that backline. Like obviously you've got Newman. There's, you know, you kind of I feel like
no Newman, no Hurrell, no Handley. I mean, arguably Myler still gets into that spot even if Jack Walker is fit. But that's not going to be an issue for this season. That's one to work out next year. But there's a lot of players missing. Eastman not selected. Louis. Another one that will. Yeah, Louis in the halves. Gale, who's literally had a 2-week pre-season.
Yeah, Even
you could tell he wasn't sharp. I mean, he didn't do anything too badly wrong other than literally handing Tom Johnson one of the try assists of the season. But you could just tell in his general play he wasn't match sharp.
Yeah, and then you've even got, I mean, like there's players like sort of, Callum McClelland. Obviously you had like, but what I'm thinking is like in terms of your centres, you've got Broadbent and Sutcliffe who played there, and it's really mad to me that Alex Sutcliffe's been so good for Fev kind of over these last few years when he's been there on dual reg or whatever, that he's not really getting into the Leeds team, and I feel like Broadbent and Sutcliffe I don't think it'd affect you that negative. Like I think you could go into this season with them two as your starting centres and make the playoffs still. Do you get what I mean? Like they're good enough.
I think them two have got great potential actually.
Yeah, it's mad how Sutcliffe's
Broadbent,
been around for ages. It's crazy.
It is. I mean, I think this is Broadbent's first game actually in the centres. I think the rest of them have been a standoff. To me, he's not a standoff. He's a centre through and through.
Yeah.
And I think you could tell that. You could tell that on the weekend. Anyway, again, I'm conscious I'm going on about Leeds a lot now. So, yeah, glad to get the win. Very impressed with our youngsters. And honestly, I think I'm still feeling optimistic. I'm very happy to have come away with it. I still think we can easily be on track for the 4, and I think we've got good momentum into Castleford next week, which is again going to be a tough game, and it's a home match, it's not actually at home.
But then again, on the flip of it, obviously we spoke about Leeds. Earlier on we spoke about Lee and how, the fact that they was in this game, which they potentially was tipped to get really kind of beat badly in. And I think Wakefield were in a similar sort of position in this game against Leeds, and they kind of
I disagree completely.
Go on.
Wakefield always turn up against Leeds. They always seem to play well at Headingley. I don't think they were expecting to get battered. I don't want to sound biased here. I think the scoreline did flatter them because of the nature of particularly both of Johnston's tries. There was, I don't want to say just luck involved. I mean, I think Gales was mostly luck, however good his take was. I don't think you're going to get many like that. But, obviously it does take skill to break the line. He's fantastically quick to get that and to shrug off Myler with the dummy pass. I'm not saying it's not a skilled try. But they looked a bit impotent in the last 20, I think.
Yeah.
It was moments of individual skill / missed tackles, defensive placement errors from Leeds that gave them their points, rather than that brilliant bit of teamwork.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Jacob Miller's through 4. Was it Matty Ashurst who scored that one?
Yeah.
That was another prime example of one player doing it on his own, and again taking on one of the big props, which credit to him, the half-back, he got round him, sure. Again, good try. But, I don't know, I don't think Wakey will be too disappointed, because again, you come up against these big teams, you almost expect to lose them and anything's a bonus. So I don't think it's destroyed their mindset, and actually I think they can take some credit into how close run of a match it was.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think it's been a weekend of rugby really, where no one's come away looking weak. I think the teams that have lost, it's either been close or Salford have been beat by Saints on top form, and Salford didn't look that bad. No one's looked terrible. I don't think, if you know what I mean. That's what I'm saying about Wakey. I think
definitely
defensively Wakey,
I think as well, shout out to one player in that Wakefield pack who has not got the mentions this week that he should have done. Jordan Crowther did a fantastic job. He really was one of the toughest forwards on that pitch, I thought, this weekend. So, Jordan, if you're watching, you've got more fans. There you go.
Yeah, but I think we've exhausted the Leeds Wakey West Yorkshire derby now.
Oh, definitely. Well, I was ready to move on minutes ago, but you kept me on it, so anyway.
Well,
on to the next one.
Now we've got the inter-country derby. We've got Catalan against Hull KR.
That's not a word.
I know it's not, but I've made it up. Right. Catalan versus Hull. story of this game, Catalan, absolute dominance, look really good, kind of pick up some of the form that they kind of did have in last season when they obviously played limited amount of matches, but did play well. KR looked a bit sloppy.
Oh yeah, when they frauded the way into the playoffs.
KR looked sloppy defensively. I think their fans will sort of agree with me on that one. But Ryan Hall inspired comeback in the second half. Fair play to him, played some fantastic rugby in that sort of last half an hour. Got it to a golden point before the old head of James Maloney dropped goal. 29-28, game over, all that effort for nothing.
Okay. I don't know how we can really say that Catalan looked dominant and OKR looked to have a shaky defence when it was literally a golden point. They've both done the exact same thing over 80 minutes. I mean, I'd actually been more... Both of them have spent time choking. The other times have spent dominant. And, great kick from Maloney, but also... Was it the young centre or fullback?
Yeah, it was...
There's some French name I can't pronounce, so whoever you are, credit to you.
He'd come on...
What a break.
It was crazy. He came on with like 5-10 minutes to go for Tompkins and essentially won them the game through that little half break, because it was looking like a bit of a stalemate on drop goal front where like you're either going to have to try and hit it from the other side at halfway line or you're going to have to go for a bit of a territory thing. And
you'd have to go full Brad Dwyer and hit it and up for best.
But
yeah, it were a fantastic break, and you know, Maloney's going to get some of the headlines for kicking it, but that young lad, for me, was the true match winner.
Yeah, oh definitely. And what I'm saying about how Catalan were dominant and KR were bad defensively, I do mean that in that first 50, if you take the first half, first 50 minutes of that game, you'd have thought Catalan could rack up to like, 40s, that sort of thing, and then KR did.
But then you take the second half of the game, it's like Super League Championship in a Challenge Cup match. Where was the stamina for Catalan? They just imploded.
Yeah.
I mean, has Ryan Hall played his way back into an England shirt with that hat-trick? If he keeps that up,
maybe.
That was the Hall of old.
Yeah.
Watching him tear down the wing at Headingley brought back some fantastic memories.
Yeah, I
know it wasn't at Headingley, but I still remember his shouting to the camera after making the helicopter turn round, 6 years ago this year.
Yeah, that was crazy. I remember that. But yeah, I think on this game, both teams, I think, go home not upset. Do you know what I mean? This is what I mean. No team's really going to be upset with what's happened.
Catalan will be annoyed with how they threw the game away, but again, probably relieved to keep the points. OKR very disappointed not to be able to finish it off. I mean, a few years ago, they probably would have got a point for that, and this is one of those occasions where arguably, even compared to other draws, a point each would have been the kind result almost.
Yeah.
But whether or not we agree with Golden Point or that is probably a question for another video sometime in the future.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot to unpack with that. But
should we move on to Sunday's games?
Yeah, the last two games, Super League wise, obviously. First up, Hull FC Huddersfield, dubbed kind of almost the game of the weekend that you probably couldn't call either way. I think it was a really tough one to call. Both teams, Reynolds is in, Huddersfield, a bit of a new look, a new manager under Watson, not sure what to expect from either. And Huddersfield 100% missed Aidan Caesar, and so did I on my fantasy team, but we will come to that. But Hull FC looked absolutely... I honestly think Hull FC looked really good in this game. Reynolds, unreal. Man of the match performance. Sneed looked good. Connor looked really good at fullback as well. And just that whole forward pack as well works well as a unit. And no, Huddersfield didn't do terrible either, but they did miss like that leadership from Caesar. From mine. I know you were watching You were watching your...
I was, and I'm going to have to eat some humble pie here, I think. Especially given I've run out of slices of leftover pizza nut, which I was scanning before the recording. But anyway, Hull FC did not look anywhere near as rusty as I thought they were gonna. One change was all that they did, which kind of shocks me actually. I thought they'd made more than that. I didn't watch much of the game. Reynolds was apparently man of the match, so I assume he did pretty well and has somewhat settled in okay, which I think was one of the big question marks. So, I might have to eat my words here about Hull FC finishing 11th.
Yeah, I think...
Because that was a far more impressive start than I expected. And actually, with Salford being solid, playing well, there's only one person that needs to go on the fraud list and be investigated in this league, and it's Ian Watson. Biggest fraud coach in Super League after that result. What were Huddersfield playing at? They played better under Nathan Brown.
Yeah, that is a definite overreaction.
Oh, what's his name? Anderson. Yeah. There we go, just throw back all of them. Yeah. Kenny Edwards needs his head checking. I mean, what the hell he's doing getting sin-binned in a game like that, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's... You can't... I think it don't fall back on Watson, because I think Huddersfield have got a really good core there as well. I just think with Huddersfield, it's going to come from Caesar. It's because I think, obviously, they mismatched people around a bit. You know, Gaskell playing full-back, they're missing Golding and that sort of thing.
But once again, the head wasn't in it to win the match. I mean, they weren't capitulated at any point, but the mental strength wasn't there to dig back in. We saw players losing the discipline. And how many times have we seen Huddersfield, the perennial bottlers of Super League, do exactly that?
Yeah.
If they could be consistent and play to what that potential is, then they'd be right up there. And that's what's so frustrating. I mean, this is me as a neutral, let alone if you're a Huddersfield fan having to watch this, knowing the potential you've got and watching them choke week in, week out. This is the sort of mentality that Watson is supposed to be here to drill into these players, especially given how workmanlike Salford were. But to be honest, Salford are what they are because of the signings they've made. Experienced cast-offs from the big clubs that are good enough because they got contracts there in the first place, but perhaps not the X-factor players.
Yeah.
Huddersfield aren't that. They are spend money, look flashy, and under-deliver.
Maybe.
And unless something changes mentally, that's never going to change anytime soon while ever they have that mentality. And if that is the case, then I'm sorry, Ian Watson has to be coach flop of the season if this continues. I mean, I know it was one game in, and there's still a long season to go. But I would be concerned even at this stage. And Watson, you're going on fraud watch. You're going to have to start playing better to come off of it.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think once Caesar's back, which should be sort of this weekend, I'm hearing he should be back for round 2, then I think we'll see more of the real Huddersfield, and it'll be interesting. But again,
well, speaking of coaches who might be on fraud watch, potentially how this is going, shall we jump into Castleford Warrington?
I think we should. The last game of the weekend, we picked Warrington, both of us, to win this. Boy, was we
I'm
wrong.
shocked. I don't know, Steve Price, I think you might be joining Mr. Watson on fraud watch if this goes on. What the hell was going on there? I mean, the only thing dodgier than Warrington in this match, and this is a shout out to someone we missed earlier as well, Chase Blair. What the hell is going on at Trim Watch? He desperately needs a barber shop. I mean, we were debating whether to do this Trim Watch, the worst cuts in rugby league. I mean, Blake Wallace is having a shocker at Lee.
I like it.
I mean, Jesus Christ, that mullet should have been left in the 80s. Don't ever bring that back again, Blake, please. I mean, he's probably going to have it in next week because he ain't going to ship it all off, but still. Yeah, them two on Trim Watch, Price on Fraud Watch, and Warrington looking very poor.
Yeah, they never really got going in this one. I mean, some individual errors. I mean, Charnley, just didn't seem himself, and there could be various reasons for that. Might be away from rugby or anything like that. We've got to kind of understand that players do have off games. But as a player who I have him in my fantasy team on wing, and
I did as well.
It was a painful watch. But he'll bounce back. It's Josh Charnley. There's the experience there. He's a player who can score tries, and I think for Warrington, I don't think you get too worried as a Warrington fan because there is bits and bobs that will get worked on and that sort of thing. And when Inglis eventually does come in, what impact can he have? But
we know my opinions on that one.
Yeah, but it's one of them where I think Cass will take a lot of positives. I think Cass played really well. I think McShane, Truman played really well, especially without no Richardson.
No Danny Richardson either, yeah. Which could have been a big problem, but they handled it quite well, actually.
Yeah, and then you've got, that's the thing, and then you've got a player like Gareth O'Brien who, you know, a good utility back. You know, he's probably not your first choice, but he's a good backup to have. Goes off with head injury and like can't return to the field, fails his HIA, and then you're kind of mixing and matching who's playing where, and you know, you've got McShane playing a bit of half back and that sort of thing, and they still managed to get the job done against this Warrington side. So I think if you're a Cas fan, you're really positive about this, and I do think you look at a complete side.
I want to call you out on something you said earlier, by the way.
Go on.
No team has got any right to be overly disappointed and
Warrington
embarrassed at the end of round one. I'm sorry, Warrington have.
Yeah.
They had. I think Huddersfield have to an extent, but Warrington even more so. I mean, this is just not what we'd expect really from a team that are making all the right noises about wanting to be right at the sharp end. I mean, they've bribed the cut draw well and truly to grab themselves a place in the next round of that, but so maybe it's their year in one thing, but this is not a great start at all.
No.
And they really need to sort it out. Anything else to add on this game, or shall we jump into a quick cup recap of what has happened over the weekend?
I think we jump over to the Challenge Cup. Second
Okay,
round.
so let's start with, I guess, the first game of the weekend, which was, I believe, on Friday night, or live on the Sportsman.
It was on. The first game was...
Also confirmed York versus Wigan is going to be shown on there in round 3, so, you know, check it out. It's free live rugby. Why not? You'd be daft not to.
So it's a bit of a strange one actually, this cup, because you obviously it's championship clubs, and usually I'm the championship guy, but on like going obviously 3 of these games were on Sunday, and it was actually I was watching the Super League on Sunday, and Matt was watching the
I was watching the championship clubs, yeah, so it was an education for me, I must say. But
and did you enjoy it?
So you can see my initial thoughts on Twitter when I was kind of just tweeting random things going on throughout the game a little bit.
Yeah, it were good actually. They were quite different, but there were 2 really good contests the BBC picked up actually, so credit to them.
Yeah, well, starting off on Saturday with the first game, which was one that you predicted Fev were going to do Batley in this. Batley put up a fight.
I didn't watch this one, but I wish I did.
Yeah, I
mean, it
did.
looked brilliant.
I watched this.
I mean, what did we say last time? Did Batley knock Halifax out, was it? And we were quite shocked by that.
Yeah, they did. Round 1, Batley knocked Halifax out, and they're looking the real deal at Batley.
And they're scared Fev. I mean,
they should have won this
on
game.
paper, Featherstone should have walked this game. But it was anything but, and I mean, I haven't seen it, but I mean, even, I don't know if the scoreline flatters Batley, but
I honestly think the scoreline flatters Fev, because I think Fev, you got what you were getting in first half.
Even better then.
Yeah. But I think at times Fev's quality shone through, but Batley scared them. And at one point, Batley,
Would you say that Featherstone were able to use their big fellas effectively to get through?
You could say that, yeah. If you're a Featherstone fan, you're
going to want to kill me for that comment, but yes, if you're a Featherstone fan, you're relieved, I think.
Yeah, if you're a Featherstone fan, you're still happy, because your friendlies that you'd played, you were dominant, you beat teams by a lot, you then did the same thing to Bradford in round 1. It's a bit of a humbling, I think, where it's like, we're not going to necessarily walk the championship, there's going to be some tough games, and it reminded them probably of what's to come there, and you know what I mean. So, but I think again they're through to the next round, so there really can't be any complaints from that. But yeah, good game, honestly, for a neutral to watch. Good game. So
speaking of a good game to watch as a neutral, I'll jump straight into the first of the BBC matches, which was Oldham and Swinton. So I must say this was a very good game. Oldham, to be honest, started out looking the stronger of the 2 teams. They were right on the Swinton line, but they got the early break, did Swinton, got ahead on the scoreboard and never really gave that up. As the match wore on, there looked to be a difference in class, particularly those last 20 minutes. And at that point, yeah, the better team on the day won, but on another day, Oldham, if they'd have just been a bit more clinical near that Swinton line, particularly in the early phase of the match, they could have been home and dry by half time. Yeah. I mean, so much good attacking rugby that didn't quite come off for either side. I mean, yeah, shout out to the couple of players that did actually interact with us on Twitter after the game. Tyler Dupree for Oldham and my man of the match for that one, Lewis Brogan of Swinton. Nearly an hour on the pitch as a forward and dominating the middle throughout every single one of those minutes he was on the pitch. Fantastic performance from him. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately I don't think their cup run's going to go much further without a massive upset, but still, semi-finals of the 1895 Cup as well, and I think they'll be quite happy with that.
Yeah.
Good prep for this championship season anyway. Nice bit of momentum from.
Yeah, good prep going into when we get into championship fixtures for round 1 championship this weekend. Good prep for him as it is the exact same fixture again next weekend. And it's funny how this stuff like this has actually been flipped, where like these cup games, like 2 of these round 2 cup games are on next week as well. So it's going to be interesting predicting them based on what we've seen this week. So
yeah, well, let's jump into
the next
game.
game.
Were you going to ask something else on that, or we're going to go on to London York?
I was going to say to you, what about this next game? Because this were a game I imagine where after you'd watched Swinton Oldham, which you probably didn't expect much from, and that being such a good game, going into London York, 2 of the big hitters. Go on, talk me through it.
I arguably think this was a slightly worse game to watch. I mean, I missed a little bit of the second half on this one, so I'm not going to comment on the full 80 because that would be wrong, but I don't know, London did okay considering the players they were missing. They had a lot of creativity in that halves that were out, which I think almost gave York the big advantage before it started.
Yeah, definitely. York were big favourites.
Yeah, and I think London can take heart actually, particularly on the defence. I mean, you could tell the Hearts were inexperienced. There was not much in creativity, as shown by the fact they didn't score a try throughout, but you know, the defence was solid, and we know London can win games with the boot. Look at the £1 million game against Toronto, no one scored a try all night in that one.
Yeah, they've always been a good defensive side, London, I feel. They always are decent at that.
Yeah. If they were fully fit, I think they'd have had a decent chance, but unfortunately that wasn't to be the case today, and yeah, York deserved winners. They've got a very tough draw in the next round, so you're going to have to use all the bits of experience for that one. But
they have got a quality team though, York. When you look at it, like that experience, and it shone through in this game really. And like, what did it feel like watching your old Leeds pal Cuthbo playing then? I know you'll have been looking forward.
It was nice to see him debut. Yeah, he put up a good shift, and I think he'll do really well this season.
Yeah, should.
But yeah. Well, again, good momentum for York, and, well, one more team that got good momentum in the final game, another YouTube stream job. Widnes getting one over friend of the channel Greg McNally's Whitehaven side.
Yeah, well,
I didn't watch any of this one. I'm not going to comment on the game in general because I haven't seen it, so...
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't watch this one either, but from what I've seen...
Sorry, Greg.
What I've seen bits of it, obviously Greg didn't actually play for Whitehaven, so whether that's injury or issues in there, which that's the reason obviously why they lost, because they didn't have Greg. But Widnes looked strong, built on that big win after the win against West Wales. They sort of built on that good win against Whitehaven. Like I said, I don't think Whitehaven will be disheartened from it. Be upset, they had the chance of getting to the semi-finals at 1895 Cup, and from there you could get yourself to Wembley. But I think they can concentrate on league and take some positives from this couple of rounds at Cup. You know what I mean? There's positives there, and Widnes will be looking to go on and win this 1895 Cup.
I don't think we've got a huge amount to say really on this, given neither of us seen the game. So speaking of concentrating on the league, it's very tight at the top of the Fantasy Super League as well after one round, mostly because hardly anyone had a team where everyone played.
Yeah.
Which is probably going to be the story of the season. Danny Richardson.
But I think...
Yeah, go on. You've got the table in front of you. Who's top of the league and how close is it?
So, the league is top. Firstly, before we get that, Fantasy, I mean, we had the old mess of how long it took them to set it up and everything, and then we come to the game and the scores are all wrong. There's players who have scored tries who are on 2 points, and they've just... It's not being calculated right, but the good thing I thought...
Do you know I didn't actually look at the league until today, and I'm glad I didn't now, otherwise I'd have been even more fuming.
Yeah, Well, what they usually do is the update. Sort of, you don't really get the final scores until like the Monday or whatever. But they'd actually started doing, like fantasy football does live updates in games, and I thought that's really good. But they just messed it up, and the scores were all wrong. But now they've actually
don't ever do that again, please.
Yeah. You'd like to think going forward that is a good step though, and when they've corrected like the algorithm or whatever to sort that out. But it's been an interesting one, like you say. People have been missing games unexpectedly, like Caesar kind of last minute sort of stuff. Batty as well for me at Wake, he did mess me up, but you live and you learn. But at the top of the league, a person who had all their players play was Phil White, his maiden Harwich team. If you're watching, Phil, congratulations, long season ahead, and you only beat Ben Webster by 1 point, so you can't be too happy with yourself, because it is close.
Well, hang on, before we start going into all this, haven't you been beaten by your own mum, who, I quote before this, she's only third because she picked Ryan Hall because he's one of the only players she actually knows, and she still beat you?
Yeah, well,
or do we not talk about that?
Yeah, my third place is my mum's team, which I had to convince her to make a team because she does fantasy football, but she was like, oh, I don't know if I'll be able to keep on top of it. I said, just do a team, make a team of players you know and players and that, because she's actually a big Leeds fan, but she just don't watch much of the Super League, and she's made this team, and it's alright. I've told her some corrections, players that won't play and that sort of thing, and she's somehow managed to pull this off, and she's 10 points behind Phil White.
Yes,
top,
but also I'm
2
ahead of you, and your team of ex-Bradford players is beating your main team. So once again, your top one is the joke team. So I don't think you're really doing that cracking so far.
Yeah, but as you say that, I'm not exactly. I'm mid-table. I'm not. I'm not down at the bottom by any means.
But you're behind me.
You've got. I don't even know
on.
which is your main team, or which is your meme team. I think they're all just main teams, which isn't fair. So yeah, you're one of your teams.
I don't really have a joke team, but yeah, one of my teams is it's the second one I made, which is the one after we filmed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's close, so like I say, even my team of ex-Bradford players is 1 point above my main team, and like I say, I've actually a bit of a tip to you guys watching this, because if you're watching this on the Wednesday night and you do fantasy, you remember you have got 4 transfers to make by the end of tonight, otherwise them transfers reset, as you get 4 per month, and obviously March comes to an end tonight, which will be the Wednesday night if you're watching, so try and get some transfers in there now if you can.
That's a good point. I'd not even twigged that.
Yeah, I've tweaked it.
I'll have to have a look through tomorrow.
And I've done a bit of planning.
Well, I'm sure it will change anyway, so... Well, it's going to change based on the results of this week's fixtures, which I think with that, segue into the predictions. So, same as last week, we'll go ideally one word for each game, especially given we're nearly 40 minutes long today. So, yeah, if we've got anything to add, we can do, but let's try and keep it short and sweet. So, right. Friday. I think it's 12:30 the first game. Who's playing?
No, we are on Friday. We're not going straight.
We're on at 3 o'clock.
There is some Thursday games. There's 2 Thursday games.
Oh, is there?
There is.
Oh God, why aren't we doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday? How stupid. This shows how much attention I've got, doesn't it?
I don't sort out fixtures, mate. I just let you.
Oh, it's RFL. Right. RFL are just clapped anyway. Thursday.
Right. One word. Thursday night. Wigan Wakey.
Wakey did well last time, but I can't give you this one, sorry. It's the depleted Wigan for me.
Yeah, Wigan, Hastings is back, so it's probably going to be Wigan for me. Again.
Yeah, French isn't, but never mind.
Right,
Don't
next
French.
up.
Get in my team and score some points. Anyway, yes.
Next up, KR versus Saints. Obviously, it's an away game for Saints, but they are at home, so...
Yeah, it's St. Helens, isn't it? Let's be honest.
I can see Saints going on a good little run at the start of the season here if they can pick up some form against these teams that they should be beating. I think KR will just be looking to put a good performance in. Maybe there's an upset on KR.
I think they'll be tougher than last year, definitely, but I don't really see Saints having enough trouble that they'll lose.
Yeah.
So, right, are we on to Friday now?
Yeah, we're on Friday dinner time first up.
Hurrah!
Wire, so Warrington versus Lee. This is an interesting one, really, I think.
Well, yeah, this is the upstarts versus the frauds, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Warrington should win this, especially I'd assume Price has kicked them all up the arse after that performance. But I don't know. If Warrington turn up, they will win. If they are as bad as they were against Cass, I think Lee will finish the job. And I know that's a bottle job of an answer, but
Yeah.
I don't really think I can summarise it any more than that, because it depends what Warrington are going to be this season.
So which one are you saying now, if you want to say?
I mean, I would assume Warrington go back to a bit closer to what we expect of them and get the points, but
Yeah.
I think it'll be close.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that as well, with Warrington to win, but it'd be close. So, your team...
I mean, if I find after 10 minutes they're playing crap again, I might switch to Lee. I'm not promising anything on that one.
Right, Leeds versus Cass then, Good Friday afternoon.
Oh god, this is where I want to see the team sheet, because I think if Hurrell's back, we have more of a chance. Cass played well, but then Warrington was so bad. I don't really know who Cass are going to have back and who they're not. I'm going to be loyal and say Leeds, but there's an element of bias in that, to be honest. I think it's going to be a close game, and it entirely depends on who's got who back.
Yeah, I think for the purpose of this prediction, I'm going to say Cass, just because...
Do you know what? Go for it. It's close, and I'm
Yeah.
only sticking by my own team because of bias rather than anything else, and I'm going to be open about that.
It's going to be a good game, I think. Probably the tie of the round, really. So, then we're on to the sort of into the weekend. Salford versus Hull FC.
I think Salford. I fancy Salford to get that one, but you know, Hull did not disgrace themselves last time, and they're going to be up for the fight. So again, that could be close. I think that arguably is tie of the round, actually. But
Maybe.
yeah, I'm going to go for Salford.
Well, I mean, I'm going to say Hull FC, so I'm going to go against you. But I think that's a good thing, you know. I see people bashing Super League on sort of on the forums and stuff on Facebook all the time. You know, Super League's not NRL and stuff like that. But like, yeah, Super League's never going to be NRL, and we're arguing over which
Well,
game.
no, Super League can be NRL.
But
Watch it. Get everyone else to watch it, so that more people watch it, and Sky have to pay us more money so we can have better facilities, have better salary caps, and get better players. There you go. You want it to be NRL. You change, not anyone else.
Yeah, but
Rant over.
But does right? So, for example, I know we you know getting on a bit here, but for example, right? Let me compare to you the Premier League football and the MLS, right? So, for example, the MLS. Do you think the fans of the MLS?
I'm going to say let's go one better. Premier League and Hyundai A League, since we're obsessed with comparing ourselves to the Australians.
What I'm saying is, right, so the Premier League is renowned as the best league in football, just as NRL is in the same in rugby. So do you think that anyone in all these small leagues, you know, whether it's Croatian First League, do you think that they look at it and they think, oh, I wish our league was like the Premier League? Because realistically they know it's never going to be. And for us, like, for example, this is we are not the major sport. Rugby league is one of the big sports in Australia, so they're going to have that backing and fans there. What I mean is, like, yeah, we could be NRL, and I want us to be that level, but complaining about it on Facebook and then putting us down when we've had last weekend, I'm not being funny, but them first 6 games were absolute quality, and it was great to have Super League back on telly, and
Well, didn't we break the record for the most
Yeah, we did.
watched round one or whatever? I saw something 56% up.
Yeah.
That's the sort of headlines we want. Keep that up for the full year, and then yeah, we might manage to shake more money out of Sky or someone else.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I know that's come from, you know, us saying which games the tie of the round, and it could be any of these games. And I think going off this week, there needs to be some more positivity in rugby league, because I think there's a lot, you know.
Well, speaking of positivity and ties of the round, I'm going to stop you on your little rant, mostly because I'm slightly scared that you're going to go on for another 20 minutes, and I don't fancy finish recording this after 1 in the morning. But come on, last game.
Right.
Is this the tie of the round?
Huddersfield Catalan.
Fraud versus foreigners. Definitely foreigners.
Interesting. I'm gonna go against you again. I'm gonna go Huddersfield. If Caesar's back, I think they'll win it.
Oh god, you're going for the fraud, are you?
Yep.
Well, there we go. Price and Watson. Will any of them remain on fraud list next week?
Right. So, now to finish off, championship preview for next week. Round 1 of championship. Literally, this is going to be not explanations. I want one word from you.
No, I'm giving you one word.
Yeah. Halifax versus London.
London.
I'm going to back facts. Oldham versus Swinton.
That was 4 words. Oldham versus Swinton. I'm going to go Oldham's revenge.
Swinton for me. Right, Fev versus Batley. Rematch.
Fev again.
Yeah, I think Fev will want to put a statement down after last week, so I agree. Fev. York
That's
versus,
more than one word.
York versus Toulouse.
Toulouse. I'm going York.
Interesting. Dewsbury versus Whitehaven.
Dewsbury. I don't really care enough about this match, I'm going to be honest.
I'm going to back Greg and go Haven. Right, Sheffield versus Bradford. Up the Bulls.
I'm just going to say Sheffield to piss you off.
I'm going to say Bradford, obviously, because I'm supporting and hopefully we can actually pull this finger out for 1 week. But, you know, we'll get on with it. Right, Newcastle versus Widnes to finish it.
Widnes.
I'm going to also back Widnes, I think. Should be closer. And that is a championship.
Yeah.
Bye. Thanks for watching, guys. And like Matt says, on Saturday, check out the Who's the Best Finisher in Super League video we've got coming and who you think that is. Also, what are you thinking about this weekend's fixtures? Who's winning what? Do you agree with his predictions? And we will catch you on Saturday. Thanks for watching. See you later. Goodbye.